What if the modern pharmaceutical industry is treating chronic disease completely backwards? We manage chronic inflammation with synthetic medications while eating processed diets that actively fuel the fire. Yet we completely overlook the daily dietary pattern a major developed nation uses to keep systemic inflammation measurably lower than any comparable population. A study of 382 adults in Tokyo, published in Brain, Behavior, and Immunity in 2020, found that consuming a traditional Japanese diet is directly associated with significantly lower levels of CRP and IL-6. Those are the two primary blood markers your doctor measures to assess chronic systemic inflammation. Stick around because item 1 is a sticky and intensely pungent fermented soybean dish that most Westerners refuse to eat. Researchers confirmed it contains a specific enzyme that measurably reduces the arterial inflammation driving Japan's remarkably low cardiovascular disease rates. Item 10. Edamame. Before you even order a drink at a traditional Japanese izakaya, a small woven basket of steamed green pods will almost certainly arrive at your table. These are young soybeans known as edamame. They have been packed into bento boxes and served as a daily snack across Japan for centuries. While the Western world heavily refines soy into highly processed protein, isolates, and artificial meat substitutes, the Japanese eat the whole bean exactly as it was grown. Eating it whole delivers a concentrated dose of a protective plant compound called genistein. Genistein measurably suppresses a molecular pathway in your body called NF-kappa B. That is the primary biological switch that activates your chronic inflammatory response and keeps your immune system locked in a state of high alert. Large Japanese population studies directly link regular whole soy consumption to measurably lower rates of chronic inflammatory conditions. Researchers have repeatedly found that consuming these young beans significantly suppresses systemic inflammation at the cellular level. That finding has been documented in major nutritional literature for decades, yet we still reach for synthetic anti-inflammatories instead of looking at our plates. You can easily harness this by keeping a bag of frozen edamame in your freezer and lightly steaming a handful with a pinch of sea salt for an afternoon snack. The simplest appetizer in Japanese culinary culture measurably suppresses the molecular pathway that keeps your immune system in a state of chronic high alert. From the lively evening tables of the izakaya, we move to the quiet temple gardens of Uji, where the most heavily consumed beverage in the nation is carefully harvested. Item 9. Sencha green tea. Walk into almost any home or workplace in Japan, and you will find a small ceramic pot brewing vibrant and unshaded green tea leaves. This is sencha. It is Japan's most widely consumed daily beverage, poured freely and drunk 3 or more times a day by the general population. In the West, we drink heavily sweetened coffee loaded with artificial creamers that spike blood sugar and drive systemic heat. The Japanese start and sustain their day with a subtle brew packed with a specialized botanical compound called EGCG. EGCG actively hunts down and neutralizes the free radicals that physically damage your cells and trigger systemic inflammation. The Tokyo lifestyle study we mentioned earlier specifically looked at the daily habits of Japanese adults. The researchers found that regular green tea consumption was among the 4 lifestyle practices most strongly associated with measurably lower levels of CRP and IL-6. That specific discovery, published in Brain, Behavior, and Immunity in 2020, confirms that the national beverage of Japan quietly acts as a daily biological coolant. You can easily add this to your life by drinking 2 or 3 cups of high-quality loose-leaf sencha throughout your morning, instead of reaching for a second cup of coffee. The daily ritual of brewing tea is actually a highly effective anti-inflammatory intervention hiding in plain sight. The warmth of morning tea pairs perfectly with the traditional Japanese breakfast, which almost always features a steaming bowl holding a treasure harvested directly from the coastal waters. Item 8. Wakame seaweed. Sit down to a traditional Japanese breakfast anywhere from Hokkaido to Kyushu, and you will be served a steaming bowl of miso soup holding delicate dark green ribbons of sea vegetables. This is wakame. It is served in soups and side salads almost every single day, making it one of the most widely consumed foods in the entire Japanese diet. The Western diet is completely devoid of marine vegetables. We are missing out on a unique class of oceanic compounds that land-based plants simply cannot provide. The most powerful of these is a complex botanical molecule called fucoidan. Fucoidan works by suppressing the production of pro-inflammatory chemical signals, specifically one called TNF-alpha. TNF-alpha is a messenger molecule your immune system releases that tells your body to maintain a state of chronic and painful swelling. Fucoidan physically intercepts that signal. Scientists found that fucoidan extract significantly reduced the expression of these inflammatory signals and protected cellular tissue from severe inflammatory stress. That confirmation was published in the journal Marine Drugs in 2011. You can buy dried wakame at almost any grocery store today. Simply rehydrating a small handful in warm water creates a perfect base for a cucumber and sesame salad. We completely ignore the vegetables growing in the ocean, even though they contain the exact compounds needed to quiet an overactive immune system. While coastal villages harvested the ocean, the ancient forests of Japan provided a deeply earthy ingredient that has anchored traditional cooking since the Edo period. Item 7. Shiitake mushrooms. Deep in the damp and shaded forests of Japan, farmers have cultivated dark umbrella-shaped mushrooms on hardwood logs for hundreds of years. Used in Japanese cuisine since at least the Edo period and prescribed heavily in traditional Kampo medicine, shiitake is the most widely consumed mushroom in the nation. We often chop bland white button mushrooms into our salads without a second thought. The Japanese specifically incorporate shiitake into their broths and stir-fries because of a powerful structural carbohydrate locked inside the mushroom wall called beta-glucan. Beta-glucan measurably modulates the activity of macrophages. Macrophages are the primary immune cells responsible for initiating and sustaining the chronic inflammatory response in your tissue. Beta-glucan trains these cells to calm down and stop overreacting to minor stressors. Clinical trials demonstrated that daily consumption of shiitake mushrooms significantly improved cell proliferation and measurably reduced systemic inflammatory markers in healthy adults. That finding was published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition in 2015. A common culinary mushroom is actually a world-class immune modulator. You can harness this ancient provision by adding dried shiitake mushrooms to your homemade soups or broths and letting them simmer to release their active compounds. The ancient Kampo physicians knew exactly what they were doing when they prescribed this forest fungus to their patients. The mushrooms used in everyday Japanese cooking are directly modulating the immune cells responsible for chronic inflammation. If you are tired of relying on synthetic pharmacy pills to manage your health, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. The ancient Okinawan drink coming up next has been confirmed in 17 randomized clinical trials as a measurable anti-inflammatory intervention. The deep, savory flavors of the forest are almost always balanced on a Japanese plate by bright aromatic leaves plucked straight from the garden. Item 6. Shiso. Order a plate of fresh sashimi in Tokyo, and it will usually arrive resting on a vibrant serrated green leaf. That leaf is shiso, also known as perilla. It is used as a wrapper for grilled meats, pickled alongside umeboshi plums, and consumed almost daily across the Japanese culinary landscape. In the West, we use herbs primarily as an afterthought for visual decoration. The Japanese use shiso as an active anti-inflammatory medicine integrated directly into the meal. This aromatic leaf contains a deeply concentrated amount of a protective plant compound called rosmarinic acid. Rosmarinic acid inhibits the activity of the COX-2 enzyme in your body. This is the exact same inflammatory molecular pathway targeted by synthetic over-the-counter pain medications like ibuprofen. But while pharmaceutical COX-2 inhibitors carry a known risk of severe gastric lining damage, shiso works naturally without harming your stomach. Researchers found that rosmarinic acid significantly suppressed COX-2 activity and measurably reduced localized tissue inflammation. That discovery was published in the journal PLOS One in 2014. You can easily grow shiso in a small garden pot and use the fresh leaves to wrap grilled chicken or fish, just like the Japanese do. We reach for a plastic pill bottle at the first sign of discomfort, while the Japanese simply eat a leaf that nature grew to do exactly this job. Leaving the mainland gardens behind, we travel far south to the subtropical islands of Okinawa, where an ancient longevity tradition revolves around a deeply colored root. Item 5. Ukon, Okinawan turmeric. In the rural villages of Okinawa, famously known as one of the world's original blue zones for extreme longevity, grandmothers start their mornings by slicing and brewing a bright orange root. They consume it as a daily hot drink called ukon tea. It is used extensively in traditional Ryukyuan cuisine and has anchored their culture for centuries. While the West has only recently commercialized turmeric as an expensive dietary supplement, the Okinawans have been drinking it daily for generations to sustain their joints and their minds. The medicinal weight of this vibrant root comes from a highly potent plant compound called curcumin that measurably dials down the internal heat driving chronic disease. A 2025 network meta-analysis of 17 randomized controlled trials confirmed that turmeric preparations significantly reduced pain and improved physical function in patients with severe joint inflammation. That finding is among the strongest clinical evidence ever produced for a food-based anti-inflammatory compound. You can brew your own ukon tea by simmering a few slices of fresh turmeric root in water with a small pinch of black pepper to significantly increase its absorption. The Okinawans built extreme longevity simply by drinking the right roots. That same understanding of warming and protective roots is central to another ancient Japanese tradition that treats the gut as the foundation of all human health. Item 4. Shoga. Ginger. For hundreds of years, traditional Japanese Kampo physicians have relied on a specific medicinal formula called daikonchuto to treat severe gastrointestinal inflammation. The primary active ingredient in that ancient formula is a sharp warming root called shoga, or ginger. It is consumed daily in Japanese cooking as a palate-cleansing garnish, a pickling agent, and a soothing tea base. The Western diet is completely overloaded with refined seed oils and processed grains that constantly irritate the delicate lining of the stomach and intestines. The Japanese use the precise compounds found in ginger, known as gingerols and shogaols, to actively soothe and protect that exact tissue. These compounds measurably dial down the systemic alarm bells ringing throughout a stressed body. A comprehensive meta-analysis of multiple randomized controlled trials confirmed that ginger supplementation significantly reduces both CRP and TNF-alpha. Those are the two primary markers of systemic chronic inflammation circulating in your bloodstream. That finding was published in the journal Nutrients in 2020. The ancient Kampo physicians prescribed this root specifically because they saw it physically working in their patients. You can harness this ancient provision by grating fresh ginger root directly into your marinades or steeping it in hot water for a powerful evening tea. We suffer through chronic digestive heat when the exact botanical coolant is sitting right in the produce aisle. The deep healing of the gut continues with a centuries-old fermentation tradition that transforms ordinary soybeans into a profound biological protector. Item 3. Miso. Walk past a traditional Japanese fermentation house and you will see massive cedar and ceramic barrels quietly resting for months or even years. Inside those barrels, an ancient biological process is slowly transforming soybeans, rice, and salt into a rich, complex paste. This is miso. It is consumed by the vast majority of Japanese adults as a warm, savory soup at breakfast every single morning. We in the West consume heavily processed and sterilized breakfast cereals that spike our blood sugar and disrupt our digestion. The Japanese start their day with a living food. The long fermentation process produces highly bioavailable isoflavones and diverse live beneficial bacteria that measurably modulate the community of microbes living in your gut. A significant proportion of your body's immune activity is mediated directly through your gut tissue. A healthier and more diverse gut microbiome directly produces lower systemic inflammatory markers throughout your entire body. Japanese longitudinal studies have directly linked daily miso consumption to lower rates of cardiovascular conditions and systemic inflammatory markers. A major study published in the Journal of Clinical Biochemistry and Nutrition in 2020 confirmed that fermented soy intake was significantly associated with reduced inflammatory markers in Japanese adults. You can easily make this part of your routine by stirring a tablespoon of unpasteurized miso paste into warm water, making sure never to boil it so you keep the beneficial bacteria alive. The Japanese breakfast is actually a masterclass in gut protection. Alongside that steaming bowl of morning miso soup, you will almost always find a piece of fish freshly grilled over open coals. Item 2. Wild mackerel. Saba. If you walk through the early morning stalls of a Japanese fish market, the air is filled with the rich, smoky scent of mackerel being grilled over charcoal. Wild mackerel, known as Saba, is the most widely consumed fish in the Japanese diet. It is eaten grilled at breakfast, packed tightly into lunch, bento boxes, and served as the centerpiece of the evening family meal. The Western diet relies heavily on grain-fed red meat and industrial seed oils which flood the body with omega-6 fats that drive cellular inflammation. Mackerel provides a significant supply of marine omega-3 fatty acids known as EPA and DHA. These specific dietary fats directly replace the inflammatory molecules in your cell membranes. They actively shift your body's internal production away from pro-inflammatory signals and toward protective molecules called resolvins that naturally calm tissue swelling. The Tokyo lifestyle study we cited earlier found that regular seafood consumption was one of the 4 practices most strongly associated with lower CRP and IL-6 in Japanese adults. A separate Kyoto University study found that eating fish at least 3 times per week was associated with significantly lower blood inflammatory markers. You can protect your own cells by eating wild-caught mackerel or sardines 2 to 3 times a week. We look at fish as an occasional dinner option, while the Japanese treat it as a daily biological necessity. The combination of fish, rice, and soup is powerful, but in Eastern Japan, the breakfast table features one final and incredibly unique dish that holds the ultimate key to their cardiovascular success. Item 1. Natto. For over 1,000 years, people across Eastern Japan have started their mornings by vigorously stirring a small bowl of sticky, stringy, and intensely pungent fermented soybeans. This dish is called natto. It is arguably Japan's most culturally distinctive food. The vast majority of Westerners refuse to even try it because of its strong smell and unusual texture. But the people eating it have the lowest cardiovascular disease mortality in the developed world. The connection is not coincidental. Natto contains 2 biologically active compounds working through entirely different mechanisms. The first is an enzyme called nattokinase. Nattokinase measurably reduces fibrin-related arterial inflammation and actively supports healthy cerebral blood flow. This was confirmed in a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial published in the Journal of Stroke and Cerebrovascular Diseases in 2025. The second compound is a highly active form of vitamin K2 known as MK7. MK7 measurably prevents arterial calcification by activating a specific protein that stops calcium from depositing in your blood vessels. This directly reduces the inflammatory stiffening of arterial walls over time. The West relies on pharmaceutical blood thinners and statins to manage failing hearts. The Japanese simply eat natto. You can find small fermented packs of natto in the frozen section of most Asian grocery stores. The most culturally distinctive food in the Japanese diet turns out to carry some of the most clinically studied anti-inflammatory compounds in the entire Japanese dietary pattern. When you step back and look at this dietary pattern as a whole, a profound and undeniable truth begins to emerge. The remarkably low rates of chronic disease in Japan are not the result of a single magical superfood or a patented pharmaceutical breakthrough. They are the result of a civilizational convergence. Edamame, sencha, miso, and natto are ordinary foods eaten in ordinary combinations every single day. Yet collectively, they produce the lowest chronic inflammatory markers in the developed world. The clinical research and the measurably lower levels of CRP and IL-6 simply confirmed what the mortality statistics had been pointing at for decades. Japan built inflammation management directly into its ordinary meals rather than waiting to treat the consequences of a lifetime of inflammatory eating. Please remember that these are foods and plants with centuries of documented use and peer-reviewed research behind them, not medical prescriptions. The biological tools required to protect our physical health have been sitting on traditional dinner tables for generations. We simply stopped cooking them and started waiting for a pill. Which of these traditional Japanese foods surprised you the most today? Have you ever tried drinking sencha green tea or eating fresh edamame to support your own health? Let me know down in the comments because I read every single one of them. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to keep uncovering this lost wisdom. Click the video on your screen right now to discover the specific ancient tree barks designed to support healthy gums.